Hi, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another brand new episode of Did That Age Well? We are not here to ruin your childhood, but if we do, we won't be held liable. Today, my guest, a four-time repeat guest of the pod, Jon Eks, welcome back.
What's up?
What's
So
up?
good to see you, and thank you for having me back once again. I think I pitched this idea because I will come back anytime. Literally, you will have me anytime.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I
So-
like to have a guest on standby. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, I'll be your break open in case of emergency glass.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll just zip down here because I'm rewatching movies all the time anyway.
Yeah, totally. I'll just be like, "What's the last movie that you rewatched?" That I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it was probably on linear cable, full-on dad style,
Yeah.
that I'm like half asleep for on a weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
of
sounds good.
course. Yeah, totally. Kids are at soccer practice or play rehearsal or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I'm probably watching something. Not Disclosure,
Not
but something
disclosure.
else. Yeah.
And thank God for that.
Yeah.
Oh God, we've really run the gamut of some of the best to the worst, really, which was Disclosure. But
In the words of Randy Macho Man Savage, which I quote often.
yes.
I've soared with the eagles and slithered with the snakes, brother, and been everywhere in between.
And that's us.
100%.
And that's us today. I want to know, Jon, what are you up to? Tell the people about your podcast if you would like.
Yeah.
Or just tell me also what you've been up to.
Yeah. So I wound down John of all trades after 11 years.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because even when I don't want to talk about work, we're talking about work.
Ugh,
Right?
I know.
Because we did 3 workplace episodes on your show. I did like 400 plus workplace episodes on
You did.
John of all trades.
Yeah.
And so that was enough, right? And
Yeah.
by the way, I produced 3 shows that are exactly like that right now too.
Yeah, totally.
So like you can't turn your hobby into a career
Mhm.
and then continue to get excited about that hobby.
Totally.
So the new show's called Off the Clock with Jon Eks. You were one of the inaugural guests because
Yes. Honor to be there.
we have just phenomenal rapport. And that episode, I got
Couldn't agree more. And listener, if you disagree, I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah, like you can get fucked all the way.
You can go have rapport by yourself. How about you go and rapport yourself?
How about you play a nice game of hide and go fuck yourself? So, but anyway, so I'm kind of frustrated, and I think it's mortifying in many ways to be a
Sure.
straight white guy in this country.
Honestly, so embarrassing for you.
It's a rough sort of scarlet A to wear
Yeah, absolutely.
around just because we're responsible for a lot of terrible shit.
Yeah.
So in the
People are saying
spirit
that. Yeah.
of being the change I want to see in the world,
Mm-hmm.
I go, okay, let's put on a show. Let's talk about what it is to be a good dude.
Yeah.
Let's just demonstrate, not necessarily as an answer to what's going on, but like
Sure.
counter programming.
Yeah, totally.
So like let's have people on. Let's talk about real shit. You came on my show and I asked you what you want to see out of men,
Yeah.
and you wanted them to learn more about menstruation, which
I
I thought
did.
was a phenomenal answer.
I think that cis men, I'll say it on the mic again, that cis men, if you don't know anything about female anatomy, read a book. Crack open a book. Get some empathy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a whole world of knowledge just awaiting you.
Yeah.
And you can be a good dude just by virtue of, you know what, stepping outside yourself and going, hey, other people are dealing with this, namely women.
Yeah.
It might behoove me
Yeah.
to be a good dude and find out more about this.
Yeah.
So we're on episode 5, 6, something like that. So we're fresh in it.
Yeah.
And I'm all energized about it again. I'm really thrilled with the way it's going.
Mhm.
And other than that, man, I mean, business is good. Kids are good.
Great.
I'm watching Tombstone in my free time.
Absolutely.
But like this time I'm actually taking notes.
Yeah. It makes watching a dad movie feel like I'm doing homework.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, sweetie, I'm sorry, I'm busy.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm watching.
No, I did it after everyone was asleep. Everyone was in bed.
Yeah, totally.
But like that's also like special dad time
Totally.
where like the house is quiet and you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, it's me and this movie and the
Yeah.
cat is next to me. So
gosh.
I mean, I'm a cat guy. So what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
absolutely.
Yeah. So no, I mean, Molly, I can't complain. Otherwise, we can talk about everything that's going on that I take objection to.
We could talk about everything that's going on in the world, but we are here to talk about the Wild West.
But so the macro, not great. The micro, amazing, terrific.
Yeah, I often feel that way too when people are like, "How are you?" I'm like, well, I mean, this week was good, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
it's all bad.
I
It
deal with the
sucks.
existential dread
Of course.
quite a bit, but
yeah,
aside from that,
just doing my
it's like
silly little tasks, I guess, while the world burns.
it's like
but
aside from that, how did you enjoy the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
it is truly
It's that joke. Yeah.
It is that. It is that. Other than that, how was the play? That is how things feel these days. But you know what? We are here not just to talk about everything in the world.
Yeah.
We are here, as I said, to talk about the Wild West. John, what do you think about like the American Western genre?
Mm.
And also like, are you into Western films? Like, is that a thing, or is it really just mostly like some of the more famous ones like Tombstone?
In general, no, I am not like a scholar. I am not well versed
Okay.
in
Neither am I.
Western cinema.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino is my favorite director, and he always cites, like John Ford
Yeah, totally.
and, Sergio Leone and
Mhm.
people who make these phenomenal Westerns. I haven't seen most of those.
Yeah, same.
But the ones that I like are the ones that I really like. Okay.
Mhm.
So Tombstone is certainly part of that list. Unforgiven is really awesome. That's bad. Like that one's a lot grittier. That's like Clint Eastwood. And like,
Yeah.
that's like a mean one.
Yeah.
Young Guns is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think an underrated Western, honestly, and it hits really hard once you hit 40, is City Slickers.
Oh.
Have you done that one?
No, I haven't.
Okay. If you do another dad one, get a dude who's like in his 40s. And he will have opinions about
Absolutely.
City Slickers.
Yeah, I love that.
Because like Billy Crystal turns 39 in that movie.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, no, like Westerns are not necessarily a thing for me.
Yeah.
But when you get a good one, it's hard not to just fall in love with the entire genre all over again.
Yeah, totally. I feel like this movie, it's sort of like it's a pretty typical blockbuster movie wrapped up in this package of like American Western aesthetic.
Mm.
That's not to say that it doesn't have substance. Like, I mean, I think
I think the entire subtext is worth exploring here.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But yeah, it's got some pretty typical like 90s blockbuster beats to it.
Totally, yeah.
But it is very sweeping. Like I noted in my notes, and I think that's good, right? I do this. I noted in my notes.
And you noted in your notes.
Sadly, we do this all in one take. But I did note how sweeping and epic the score sounds in this movie. Did you note that?
I thought the score was so distracting. Like,
oh, really?
That's how like sweeping it was.
It's a lot.
A lot. The score, I mean, like they just don't do it like that anymore. If this was made today, it would be very subtle.
It would be much more understated, yeah. But this is almost like the score. The orchestra pit is like the MST3K heads. Yeah. They might as well be on the bottom of the screen, like
exactly,
like playing along live to the action.
Exactly, yeah. Like wild. Something bad happens and it's like dun dun, which I love, kind of. But it was distracting. Like it kind of took me out of the movie. But I think that's just because we are so used to the score often being like more subdued.
Right. Yeah, that's not a convention now the way that it was then.
Yeah, totally. It definitely places us in the 90s. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing I do have to say about the American Western genre is that this was the perfect movie for me to watch just days before I go to the Cowboy Carter tour.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Beyonce, I'm going in LA this weekend. So, it really kind of got me in the aesthetic, as you can tell by...
By your fringe jacket?
My fringe jacket. I said, this is me now.
Well, it's you got the fringe jacket and the purple hair.
And the purple hair.
So, I heard the best joke.
A common Quaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, this is a traditional aesthetic in so many ways.
Absolutely. No anachronisms here.
My favorite criticism of the Cowboy Carter album came from a comedian named Matt Bronger. He's like, you got a bunch of these rednecks who are like, this isn't country music. This isn't real country. He goes, look, I know it's real country music because I heard that song Texas Hold'em and I don't like it because I don't like country. And I thought, what a weird way of validating that.
What a weird way of validating that. And
like, kind of a left-handed compliment.
Yeah.
But, hey, it's validating her country cred. For
absolutely.
Some of these racist dipshits who need it.
100%.
So cool.
And you know who's an ally? Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson is dope.
He's so dope.
You've been to my house. My welcome mat says, have a Willie nice day. and it's a picture of Willie Nelson. You don't remember that, do you?
Awesome. I don't remember. If I had noticed it, I would have remembered.
Yeah, no, that's true. You probably would have brought it up.
Yeah, I probably would have. God, that's so cool.
Yeah, I love Willie Nelson. I met Willie Nelson in Vegas once.
No way.
Yeah. We were at House of Blues, and we were just hanging out, and like we're looking, and we're like, who is this coming in? Sure enough, it's Willie Nelson. We go, holy shit, Willie Nelson. I think those were my exact words.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey guys, you want a picture? And we're like, yeah.
What?
So yeah, if you go through my Facebook profile photos, it's me and Willie Nelson and my friend Jamie.
So cool.
And he was just the coolest guy, and we were riding that high the rest of the night.
That makes me so happy. They say don't meet your heroes, but
yeah.
I
don't
know if he's like your hero, but it's really nice to hear when like a celebrity is nice.
You know what? They wouldn't say that if they were all like Willie Nelson.
Yeah, that's true.
That wouldn't be a saying.
That wouldn't be a saying. This is one of those movies. Okay, Tombstone, like a lot of other dad movies, no offense, is one of these movies that I'm like, I swear I've seen this before. You know, I just feel like I've seen this before. And then as I was rewatching it, I was like, I don't know if I don't remember any of this. It was like, if I have watched it before, it was like I was watching it for the first time. And if it was the first time, it also felt like that. So, you know, whatever. We're just going to like move forward as if this was the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I think that's probably worth doing.
Probably.
It was not my first time at all.
And I believe that. What made you want to discuss this movie?
You know, it was a shout out to your straight listeners.
Absolutely.
So
shout out.
Yeah. So I'm right there. I'm like, hi. I'm the problem. It's me.
We've got allies here.
That's right. Yeah, that's me. 100%.
Yeah, totally.
Count me in the ally column.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I thought, okay, if you're gonna give a shout out to your straight dad listeners,
yeah, totally,
we should do a dad movie. And this is one that when it's on, and again, linear cable, right?
Yep, 100%.
I'll probably be sitting down to watch it. And so I thought, okay, this would be a good one to revisit because especially after I watched it again, I go, this is a little different when I look at it through the lens of thinking about this movie.
Yeah.
Or thinking about your show, rather.
Okay.
And so just watching it for this purpose, I go, okay, no, there's more going on here than it seems like there is on the surface.
Yeah.
Because, like, let's just put this right out front.
Mm-hmm.
On a fundamental level, this movie is a love story.
Period. I was just going to say that.
Between Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp.
It absolutely is.
It's a love
story.
And it's really queer coded, like, all the way through, too, in a lot of ways.
100%.
And I knew when I was watching this, when I was texting you, I'm like, have you watched this yet? I'm like, oh, she's going to get this. And I think that's going to just tickle you.
By the end of Tombstone, I'm going, kiss, kiss, kiss.
That might have been a little much for audiences in 1993.
Yeah, might have been a little much. And, you know, do you think, okay, so this story is based off of, you know, based on a true story. Do you think that, that they maybe kissed on the mouth in real life?
You know, I'm going to leave that to be like Schrodinger's kiss.
Sure.
I don't really care because also the norms seemed a little bit different in terms of masculinity back then.
For sure.
Because if you think about even like Curly Bill is in the audience watching Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the prettiest man I ever saw, referring to Billy Zane.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong. Billy Zane is quite snackalicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He's a treat.
He's a treat.
But, you know, for a man to say that in 2025, in this culture that we have, feels like it would be wildly out of place in certain circles. Like, I have no problem saying that. I don't give a shit. I'm secure in who I am and my sexuality and all that. Yeah. But for, like, back then, I think they just enacted that, performed that differently.
Yeah.
And so whether they did or not, I don't know. I'll leave it up to them. I'll leave that to be one of history's great mysteries.
Yeah, one of the mysteries of history.
We didn't like that rhymed. Neither of us liked that.
I didn't like that. I didn't like it.
Just tripped right off the tongue.
Oh God. Yeah, I think that it's interesting because oftentimes people talk about in the Western genre that there's this idea of a stoic masculinity and kind of this like toxic masculinity. I did not find that in Tombstone really much at all. These men are so tender with each other. They just love each other. They love each other so much.
It has a lot of male feelings.
It absolutely does. Men are crying constantly in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved it. When Doc blinks a single tear from his eye.
When he's on his deathbed.
When he's on his deathbed.
Yeah.
His deathbed.
If you ever...
just pale as can be.
Yeah, just like, and he's been read last rites.
Yes.
And he's sitting there and he goes, Wyatt, if you ever had any feeling for me whatsoever, you would leave now.
You leave now.
And like Wyatt doesn't know what to say. And so he's just like, thanks for always being there, Doc. And I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, my God. I know. I know.
And I just, like, I'm welling up thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And then he turns over the thing that Wyatt wrote and it says, my friend Doc Holliday. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, that is. Oh, my God. That is the closest Wyatt will ever say to, I love you, Doc.
Absolutely.
So that's so cool.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of masculinity, almost all the mustaches in this movie are real.
Oh, whoa.
There was only one person. I wish I could remember who it was, but there was only one actor who had a fake mustache. All the rest of them, real.
Were I cast in this movie, I'd have a fake mustache. Mine doesn't connect right here. So like right here.
That's too bad.
So I look like, it's like, hey kids, you want some candy? Like, get into my window, Elizabeth. Because I'm also blonde.
Yeah,
so
totally.
The blonde mustache is terrible.
I am so sorry.
But no, I want to see those mustaches like leap off these actors' faces and go do battle with lesser mustaches.
Wow, I absolutely
wouldn't that be dope?
That would be so dope because we know it would be a sweep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So true.
No, I mean, Kurt Russell's mustache alone.
I mean, he'd win the battle at OK Corral.
Mm-hmm. No,
just that mustache could have.
It's spectacular. You got Sam Elliott.
Oh, my God.
Bill Paxton's looks pretty good.
Sam Elliott looks the same. I don't know if it's like because the mustache just takes up so much of his face that we can't see how he's aged, but that man literally looks the exact same.
Yeah, he's like the old white guy version of like Donald Faison. Who always looks the same.
Timeless.
Yeah, you go,
timeless.
Wow,
ageless.
dude, you still look like Turk or like
exactly.
Murray from Clueless.
Yeah, exactly. He looks the exact same.
Yeah, totally.
And I love that for him.
I do too, especially his voice, man. Because his voice shows up and you go, oh, okay, we're in it now.
We're in the American Western.
We're in the American Western.
It's amazing. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is loosely based on some real events and real Western outlaws in the late 1800s in Arizona. One thing I don't understand is they're in Arizona. Why are they wearing so many layers?
Wool.
Why are they wearing wool? They're dressed to the nines. The what do we call them? The lawmen, the former lawmen, the peacekeepers, ironically, versus the cowboys. Like, but the guys who come in, they're dressed like Quakers. They are wearing heavy jackets. What is up with that? We're in Arizona.
I don't understand it either. I mean, maybe it's like Grandpa Simpson, we wore an onion on our belt because it was the style at the time.
Absolutely.
And so it's like they didn't realize they could wear clothing that breathed.
Yeah, they hadn't invented it yet.
But I will say, what? Fashion is pain, right? Or pain is beauty? How does that go?
Yeah, beauty is pain.
Beauty is pain.
Beauty is pain.
And so maybe they're just sweating through that. And well, I mean, no one can tell, though, because you're wearing all those layers.
That's true.
That's why I wore layers for this, so no one could see me sweat under these lights.
Sweating. He's just sweaty.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I actually did remember just now when we were talking on your podcast about when you were doing that Happy Friday show.
Oh,
and you're like, I'd always just like walk away sweaty. You were just like so aware of being on camera.
Well, this is different because they would make me run that fucking camera sometimes.
Really?
Oh, because we all rotated so we had the little switcher right here, and so one person would have to run it every time. So it's a lot to keep track of.
I'd be sweating too.
We had 10 fucking segments every show, and we would do them in like a half hour. So it was fast and furious.
That sounds
we're just chilling.
This is low pressure compared to that. Anything.
Yeah, compared to that pressure cooker.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez. Okay, so other than my feelings about, the Arizona of it all and the clothing not matching, etc. One thing that does really make sense about the timing of Tombstone is just how there was this, I think, perfect moment for a resurgence of a Western film in that 90s blockbuster style, because we had Unforgiven, had just won the Oscar. Dances with Wolves.
Oh, another movie I really like too.
So there were like some commercially and critically successful Westerns that had come out in the recent past. So it just seemed like the right time, I think.
I agree.
For this to come out.
I didn't see it at the time, though. I didn't see it until I got to college, actually.
Really? Why is that?
I don't know. It was just one of
history's mysteries. I'm never going to say that again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you better not. That's
and you better not.
But for whatever reason, it was just one that I didn't see. Like, I remember my uncle really liked it.
Yeah.
I think I was like anti-Western at the time.
Okay, yeah.
So just like growing up, like it was
didn't go with your brand.
It was the 90s, like, and everyone's pissy in the 90s.
For sure.
And so we got to college, and I moved in with some guys who 3 of them fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And so it was on, and I go, all right, well, I guess I'll sit down and watch this. I hated the movie for a while.
Really?
And here's why. By the way, hi, Deuce. Hi, Keith. Hi, Clayton.
Shout out friends of the
pod. Old college roommates. Because they would quote along to the movie, which wouldn't bother me normally. Because I do that too.
Sure.
But you'd hear the line before it happened. Then they'd say the line with it. And then they'd say it again after. So you'd hear every line 3 fucking times.
That sounds pretty tough.
And you go, okay, I can't watch the movie like this. I have to watch this on my own.
Can't live like
this.
And
I swear, one of them, I swear to God, he had toy guns that he would twirl while we watched it.
Oh my God. Oh, this is like some Rocky Horror shit. They're like acting it out as it's going on. They're like, we have kooky props.
It's the straight white guy version of Rocky Horror.
That could not be more true.
Yeah.
But the one-liners and the quippy dialogue really does give it the staying power that it does. I mean, I think it's why movies we talk about a lot of them on the show, but movies like Mean Girls have staying power because of their quotability. This movie...
it gets stuck in your head, yeah.
This movie gets, stuck in your head because of all of the little quips and quotes.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the first time we meet Doc, and he's taking $500, which I did the inflation calculator on that.
Wow.
So 1879, $500 is about $16,000 today.
Oh my God.
So that's a pretty high stakes poker game.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I love how he's sitting there and he's just beaten this guy with 4 queens. And he goes, Ed, if you were not my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. Right? Just so smug.
Yeah.
So just destroying this guy.
Yeah.
And then they rob the place. He gets up and he notices the craps table and there's just money there. And he grabs that almost like an afterthought. He's like, stuffs it into the bag. And he's like, well, good evening then. And walks out. You go,
God, he's so cool.
He's just so cool.
He's so cool.
Yeah. And R.I.P. Val Kilmer. All right. So, is that how you do that? Do you normally do that? Is that the...
I think
Did you ad-lib that?
It was like a joke, yeah. Like doing one of these. When we talk about someone who died. Sometimes I do one of these. Sometimes I do one of these, pour one out.
Wow, you got all the moves. I love that.
Moves.
No,
yeah. Thank God this is on video.
100%. He is the coolest motherfucker on earth. Both Val Kilmer and Doc Holliday.
Oh my God. They could not have cast him better. Willem Dafoe was actually supposed to do it.
I did read that. That would have been weird.
It would have been weird. Sorry, Willem, but it would have been weird. You needed a young hottie.
Yeah, like a smooth operator too. And Willem Dafoe is all caffeinated, weird energy.
He could have done, Billy Bob Thornton's character, that bully. Willem Dafoe could have done that really.
He could have done that one.
Yeah. But Billy Bob Thornton, okay, I know he plays such a small role in this, but he is so good at being a raging bully.
Yeah, and a weasel too.
A weasel, yes.
So, okay, I had this thought.
Okay.
And not to get too political on you here, but
you can.
As I'm watching this movie, and you got Wyatt Earp confronting Billy Bob Thornton's character, Johnny Tyler, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And Johnny Tyler is there bullying the patrons and, just being a real dick and a real red ass. And so Wyatt's like, you're sitting in my chair.
Oh my God.
And then
so
just
cool.
basically plays his bluff, calls his bluff.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. I think the MAGA movement fancies themselves Wyatt Earp.
Oh.
But they're actually just Johnny Tyler.
Wow.
As soon as you stand up to someone who fancies themselves this big, blustery, tough guy with some actual, real energy, they cower, run away as soon as they're confronted with their own bullshit.
Absolutely.
So, but that establishes Wyatt right away as a guy you don't fuck with.
100%. He's not bluffing, and it keeps.
Oh, he's ready to throw down too.
It keeps coming back to that where people are like, he's bluffing, and then someone will be like, he's not bluffing, because they know when they look in his eyes, they know he's not bluffing.
He means business.
God, Kurt Russell is so cool too.
Yeah,
and hot. The men in this movie are smoking hot,
which is it's got to be because. Let's say the women don't have a lot to do in this movie.
Oh my God. There is one scene where the women almost strategize. It's 30 seconds where they get together and they're like, okay, what are we going to do? And then somebody breaks into the house and you're like, no, we almost had that.
And if we're viewing this movie, through the Bechdel test lens, that's about the only
big failure.
That's about the only scene.
We should actually talk about, the scene where Josephine and Wyatt, that's who it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Josephine and Wyatt are kind of having their first flirty exchange.
Wait a minute. Before we do this,
okay.
We got to close the book on Johnny Tyler.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because he comes back with the shotgun.
Oh yeah.
And I love how Wyatt and Doc are talking to each other. And Doc just turns to me and goes, oh, Johnny, I didn't realize he was still there. You may go now.
You may go now.
And then Kurt Russell, in the coldest motherfucker on earth.
Yeah.
Wyatt just goes, you can leave that shotgun too.
Oh my God. Yes.
And Johnny puts the shotgun down and then goes, thank you.
When someone punches you in the face spiritually and you say,
your shotgun.
Thank you. And you say, thank you.
And then we don't see him again the rest of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet Johnny Tyler left town.
I was just going to say, I bet he walked out of that bar and he kept on walking until he reached the next town.
I think that's probably wise too.
I think so too.
All right. Yeah. So we're talking about Josephine and Wyatt. Yeah.
Okay, so Josephine, to me, she's such a manic pixie dream girl. She's so what does he say? Are you happy? And she's like, I'm always happy unless I'm bored. She's like, I'm a cool girl. I'm not like other girls. I found that to be so annoying.
Yeah, I totally get that. But what I wrote down, and I thought about this, compared to a lot of women characterizations of the time, she's really sex positive and sex forward, and that might just be male fantasy too.
That's true.
Because she's very self-possessed too, and doesn't want kids, doesn't want to settle down. She's like, I want to travel the world and order room service the rest of my life.
Oh my God, yes.
Which, I mean, she may as well be a prototype for someone like Mary from There's Something About Mary. Yeah. Just this vehicle for fantasy.
Just the capital C, capital G, cool girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So I could see where that would be annoying. As a dipshit male, I didn't find it all that annoying, and I go, wow, Dana Delaney seems like a lot of fun to hang out with.
You said, you know what? I am always happy unless I'm bored, I mean, of course, I want to be her. Yeah. I want to travel the world and order room service the rest of my life.
Yeah, live off your rich parents and not give a shit.
My God, the best closing of the movie is when he's like, yeah, I don't have any money or plans. She says, don't worry, Wyatt, my family's rich. I was like, that is a perfect way to wrap up this movie. He's like, I don't have a plan.
I have nothing to offer you.
I have nothing to offer you. She says, don't worry, my family's rich. That rocks.
The best part is, too, it seems like she has some mild contempt for her family.
Yeah.
She's like, let's spend all this shit. I don't care.
Absolutely. She's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
As they're dancing happily while the narrator tells us that Maddie died of a drug overdose. Very cool.
Oh, yeah, just off screen. God, poor Maddie.
Poor Maddie.
She really has a thankless role in this movie.
She really does.
She services the plot. She gets addicted to opium and then apparently dies off screen undignified.
Yeah, 2 years later.
Yeah.
He left his dying wife
with the migraines.
With the migraines. God, and then he like marries or doesn't marry. He has a domestic partnership with the cool girl.
Yeah, his common law wife.
That is so messed up. I'm sorry, but that really bums me out. But the way that Maddie was just vibing, I kind of wanted a little bit of what she was having. She was
dissociating, man.
Yeah, and I would too if like death was around the corner constantly. You know what I mean?
Like in the Old West, yeah.
Yeah, in the Old West where it's like someone could just, like, if it's completely lawless and someone could just come in. There's no gun control, I'll say that.
No.
Sam Elliott tried to establish some and they did not like that.
They got pissed.
They got pretty pissed about that.
And I was thinking that must be just baked into American DNA somewhere.
It is, yeah.
And because he's like, look, people are dying in town, okay?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just trying to prevent you all from dying.
Yeah.
And they're all like, fuck that, fuck you.
They're like, fuck you, we will kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so if I was living in that reality, I'd want to be zanned out like her too.
Yeah.
You know?
In some Chinese opium den.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I would. That would be me.
So thinking about how dangerous the West is.
Yeah.
Low-key, one of my favorite lines in this entire movie, it's right after that Johnny Tyler scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's when Wyatt says, hey, Mayor, have you met Doc Holliday? And Doc goes, oh, piss on you, Wyatt. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, God, don't make me talk to a politician.
I know.
But he's talking about how we're just like Boston or San Francisco. And then these two guys come out and blow each other away in the middle of the street.
So funny.
And Doc just goes, very cosmopolitan.
Very cosmopolitan. He's so funny. He's so funny.
He's
cool.
He's so droll.
I know.
Like he's droll and deadpan, and God, he's
just
the
so
fucking
cool.
best. Yeah.
The coolest. Val Kilmer said in his book I'm Your Huckleberry, he said
that was the name of his book.
Yeah,
of course it was.
Of course it was. He's so
that
cool.
That line's iconic.
Of course. What probably the most iconic. Oh, do you think that I'm Your Huckleberry or I've got two guns, one for each of you is the more iconic line?
I think it's I'm Your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
But I got two guns, one for each of you is just.
I mean,
does it
get much cooler than that?
No.
But he said, I have a poll quote from his book. He said, one way or another, Americans have to deal with the West and its glorious, sordid, sadistic past. We fought lawlessness to create an even more lawless law, one that excused and perpetuated genocide. Even today, this gun-obsessed nation that we love remains mired in a dilemma centered on pistols and rifles with romantic ties to our murderous past. We love Westerns. We learn everything from Westerns, yet we learn nothing from them. We continue killing ourselves in unconscionable ways. That's why, when I had the chance to play Doc Holliday, I grabbed it. And here's one thing.
That is some trenchant social criticism.
Here's what I think about that.
Yeah.
I think that I'm totally on board with him until he says that's why when I had the chance to play Doc Holliday, I grabbed it. I'm like,
that's fucking weird.
I think maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think that Tombstone is saying that.
No, I don't either.
I don't think that it's really doing that. Did we mention genocide once in this? No.
But I will say there are some subtleties here. When the mayor introduces himself, he says he's the tax collector, captain of the fire brigade, and like the nonpartisan anti-Chinese league.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that against the backdrop of what's happening now, you go, my God, this has never gone away in this country.
Right, yeah.
This has always been here. Like in some form or fashion, they just keep moving the targets.
Exactly.
And God, that's dispiriting.
I know.
So.
And the guns of it all.
Yeah, the guns.
The guns of it all.
Yeah, and I mean the hard thing is with a movie like this, for as tender as it is, it's a love story between Wyatt and Doc. It is also very glamorous in terms of its gunplay. Oh,
absolutely, and also like the the classic like '90s Foley artists of like the gun sounding just like pew 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 pew.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so like, oh, we're in the 90s.
Yeah, it's cartoony.
Yeah, and I kind of love that. But my favorite, okay, so I do want to address what you just said, but one thing I have to get out before I forget is that my favorite like gun move that they do is when someone just gets bonked on the head with a gun.
Oh, knocked out immediately?
They just bonk him. I love that.
Oh, dude.
I think it's so funny when they just like bonk people on the head and that's the whole thing.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I love how Ike is all drunk, like yelling at the bartender. Yeah. And Sam Elliott's standing there like the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Just like waiting for him. And then Ike turns around and he just cold cocks him.
Yeah.
With the butt of his gun and then throws him in jail.
Yeah, totally.
That's a baller move.
All of the coolest moves with the guns are not even shooting them. You know what I mean?
Well, you got Johnny Ringo.
Yeah.
Doing his whole baton twirling routine.
That's true.
That everyone lose. It was weird, right?
So funny. So funny. And then Doc Holliday with his little cup. Also, I'm
mocking
sorry,
it.
that tiny little cup really took me out of the movie. Like, I thought it was so funny how he's like just constantly drinking out of his teeny tiny cup.
Well, he took it from that first scene.
I know, but it was so funny.
It was a perfect way to mock Johnny Ringo.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And so, because Johnny Ringo's doing this whole involved thing with his guns and
totally.
And I remember I'm watching and I'm going, and the character, there's a lot of reaction shots in that.
Yeah.
Where the characters are kind of like, their eyes are watching it all intense. Like Bill Paxton's like,
yeah.
And meanwhile, Doc's there and he's like
asleep. He's truly going whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean?
That is the physical representation of whoop-de-doo, indeed.
It is. That's...
Well, good for you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo.
Look at me with my cup.
Whoop-de-doo. Okay, but we should go back to the gun stuff. Okay, so does this movie glorify gun violence? Maybe.
I think probably.
Probably. Because the gun stuff is like, yeah, it's supposed to be like cool.
I think it's a bridge too far to hang that much on this movie alone.
No. Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Just because this was sort of the way of doing things back then in terms of movies. There was a lot of gunplay in movies, and like I think of even like Ordell Roby in Jackie Brown talking about, he's like, I got this gun because the dude on New York Undercover had this gun. Mm-hmm. So because of that dude, I'm going to sell this dude this gun for this much money. So you see guns on TV, you see guns in movies, and perhaps that influences the culture. I think you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
But to hang that much on pop culture portrayals, I think is misdirected. If you overrate that.
I think so too, because like they also were showing that people were just obnoxiously like trigger happy. Like when people are in the play and instead of applauding, they all just shoot their guns in the air. That was so fun. Like that was satirical. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, they're shooting at the actors and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like when that guy Curly Q or what's
Curly
his
Bill.
name? Curly Bill. when he like is just shooting around, just terrorizing this town.
Yeah.
It was to a level of satire of being like, oh my God, like shooting a gun is so entrenched in everything in daily life for these people.
Yeah.
In a way that is just ridiculous. And so
very cosmopolitan.
Very cosmopolitan.
But Powers Booth is savage in this movie as Curly Bill.
Yeah.
He I hate him so much in this movie.
So easy to hate.
Him and Ike.
Yeah, great villains. And their faces are always dirty.
Yeah.
They just do not have access to the same like bathing stuff that the other guys do, because the other guys are always just like
impeccably groomed.
Impeccably groomed. The other guys like truly look like someone just grabbed a handful of dirt and went like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, when we first meet Curly Bill, they're taking out, the Mexican police.
Yeah.
And the groom, it's a wedding, and the groom is like, you go to hell, and Powers Booth is like, you first. And then shoots him, and I'm like, that is cold-blooded, man.
So cold-blooded.
So him and Ringo, and Ike, the whole gang. I mean, they are really, really, they're like intimidating villains.
They are.
You go, these guys are legit,
because you know that they don't give a fuck.
No, they don't at all.
They truly will just go for it. Mm-hmm. They're like, I have nothing to lose. Yeah.
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 No, they're frightening dudes. The whole cowboy gang. Yeah. And I loved how they referred to them as it's like the first organized crime in America.
Yeah.
Which, you don't associate that sort of picture with the American West, but it existed. I mean, it certainly did. If you just do even a modicum of research on this movie, it is like a lot of the stuff is taken from real life.
Yeah.
And so it's, glamorized and changed and whatever. But the fact that organized crime did exist out here is just, I don't know. It was something that I grappled with a little bit because you associate that with like Al Capone or like the East Coast, New York, Chicago, whatever.
Very cosmopolitan, you might say.
You might.
Yeah, totally. They really are like the original organized crime. But I think that something that really struck me was that even though we have like kind of the good guys versus the bad guys, the quote unquote good guys, they say that they're just trying to disarm the cowboys. They're not. They're looking for a fight.
Yeah.
Everyone here is looking for a fight. Even Doc Holliday, just a walking corpse, dead already, just wants to get his kicks and kill some people.
Well, I mean, I agree with you to a point.
Okay.
But if Wyatt's gone, Doc's gone. Because think about later in the movie.
Yeah.
When he's like, why are you here, Doc? You should be in bed resting.
Yeah.
He goes, Wyatt Earp is my friend.
Yeah.
Hell, I got lots of friends. And Doc's like, I don't.
Yeah.
So.
That's beautiful. Because the thing is, like, Doc has a lot of contacts. He has a lot of acquaintances. He has a lot of people who would say, oh, I'm a friend of his, but he wouldn't call them a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely one direction.
Yeah.
I mean, Verge doesn't even like Doc that much.
Yeah.
So Sam Elliott, he's like, man, I miss Doc. And Sam Elliott goes, I don't. Okay, Verge.
I know. I kind of loved that.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there's shades to each character. Speaking of the gun violence, I will say at least this movie demonstrates how severe like a gunshot actually is. There's that whole
Thank God.
awful scene with Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
As Morgan on that pool table and they're trying to dig the slug out of him and that dog is barking.
Oh my God.
That scene is rough.
That is tough.
But I think that is a needed sort of antidote to all the glamorizing of guns. It's like, oh no, this is what actually happens when you fire or when you shoot someone with a gun. Completely.
And you know what? I was watching the movie Sinners last week. Have you seen Sinners yet?
No, I have to. I cannot wait.
It's great. But there's I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, but there's a scene where a couple of people get shot almost as kind of like a joke. It's just like, oh, you shot me in the knee, you bastard, or like
right,
like that type of thing. And it's like, comparing that to this movie, it's like, okay, we are maybe, even though this is such a glamorized version of the American West, at least we're grounded in a little bit of reality of like, yeah, if you get shot, that's bad. It's gonna hurt a lot and it's gonna be gross,
Folks, you heard it here first. If you get shot, it's bad.
It's bad. It's
a
bad.
hot take, Molly.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're here, to get me on the mic to say those hot
drop
takes.
Truth bombs like that.
Drop truth bombs and get people arguing on the internet.
100%.
That's what I want to hear.
Getting shot, not happy.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. You want to avoid that, in my opinion.
Yeah, way to throw that caveat out there. Yeah. So it's not a blanket statement.
I'm not going to say that for
all
everybody.
the people pro getting shot.
Yeah, totally. I would say maybe rethink that.
Perhaps.
Think about that. Okay, when Wyatt gives Doc the badge, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So again, a love story.
Yeah. Well, it's because Doc asked for it because he knows he's going to go kill Ringo and he needs it to be legal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, he's like, what's it feel like to wear one of those?
Yeah. It's like it's not only a strategic move, but it's so sentimental.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love it.
No, it's given Doc a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? There is this one part though that really took me out of like the beauty of this, like male friendship and tenderness, was when Doc I think it's when he's on his deathbed and he's like, I was in love with my first cousin.
Oh, God.
But then she joined the convent. I'm like, oh, I almost was really engaged in this.
Yeah, that one grinds your brain to a halt.
Look, I know that people were dating and marrying and like having children with their first cousins back then, but I just didn't think that was necessary. Why did they have to do that?
Even if it's true or not.
Exactly. It's like, why couldn't you just say I was in love once and then she joined the convent? Why did he have to say my first cousin?
You know
Not
what?
even just my cousin. He's like, my first cousin. Like,
yeah. No.
Yeah.
Our parents were siblings.
My parents, siblings, that we have the same grandparents.
Yeah. Gross. But I will say, like, okay, so that's one thing I've never, ever understood.
What?
The cousin thing.
The cousin? Well, that's good.
Well, okay, yeah, really? But, okay, even think about something like even the Big Bang Theory. Right?
Okay.
Because, which, have whatever opinion you want about that show, but it ran forever. It was insanely popular. And there's a subplot about how Howard, one of the characters, the first girl he ever makes out with or maybe even sleeps with is his cousin.
Ew, what?
Yeah.
That's so
And so, like, it's a thing. Sometimes it pops up in pop culture, and I go, is this, like, more common than, like...
Is this happening?
Like, who are the... I, like, turn into Jerry Seinfeld. I'm like, who are these people?
These people?
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I don't... So, I think, yeah, they threw it in there, and let's just say it's really, really not for us.
It's really, really not
It's
for us.
Really, really not for me.
Yeah. I really didn't need that in, like, sort of this beautiful, like, culminating moment of friendship and valor and all of that. I didn't need him to say, yeah, I was in love with my first cousin.
You know what? I have chosen to ignore that every single time I have watched this movie.
Yeah.
And now you brought it up and I go, oh, right. That's why I choose to ignore it.
That's why we ignore it.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's kind of this, like, recurring theme throughout the movie where people are asking each other, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want out of life?
Yeah.
And I thought that it was a very, like, I don't know, the way that they asked these questions of each other is not the way that real people talk. When you, like, upon first meeting someone, like when Josephine and Wyatt are having their first encounter and she's like, what do you think is the meaning of life? Like,
hey, stranger.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's like the manic pixie dream girl fantasy, obviously, is that, like, you're just waiting around for someone to ask you, like, what is the purpose of your life and how are you going to achieve that?
You
and they're like, my purpose is to have fun.
You happen upon a beautiful, free-spirited girl who asks you the right questions that unlock your soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So you're right. That is totally a fantasy. And people don't ask questions like that. But I'll tell you this, in terms of this movie, I do appreciate the spirit of the intent here. Yeah. Because it wrestles with sort of existential things, because you look at someone like Virgil, who, he's drawn to the law. He wants order. He wants a quiet life. And he achieves that for himself. Wyatt wants to get out of the law business and find his fortune. And so they're sort of grappling with the bigger questions instead of the drudgery of the day-to-day, which you can kind of get bogged down in. Yeah. So in the way that this movie is romantic, in the way that it treats Wyatt and Doc, it's also romantic in the way that it sort of approaches the big questions of life.
Yeah, totally.
Weird ways.
It is very much like that's sort of the allure of the American Western, right? Yeah. Is that it's all about, like, men deciding their, like, fate for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, being able to be self-determined and self-possessed. And yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, it's 1879 when this movie takes place? Yeah. And that is the province of men only, which it does bear mention, which, sucks. We can't rewrite history.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing is, I feel so conflicted about, sort of the Bechdel test failure of it all. Because on the one hand, that's very reflective of the time that women would be like, shut up, just go drink your opium and die.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah, not to be dramatic or anything. But, like, but then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, does that mean that we can't create any complex female characters in a story that takes place in, this, like, in like a period piece or in historical fiction?
I don't know. I will say, did you see the movie The Quick and the Dead?
No, never seen it.
Okay, that one is a Western. It's pretty good. Sharon Stone plays a really good character in that movie. She's like a gunfighter who's really, really cool.
So cool.
So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, that's like one example in a sea of just masculinity where there, where there are no real good female characters. Or you think, God, there was a movie that I dated a girl in high school. They loved this movie called Paint Your Wagon.
Okay.
Do you know this one?
No.
Oh my God. So it's like, it's Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin and some other really big tough guy. I want to say Charles Bronson, but that can't be right.
Okay.
But it's a fucking musical.
What?
They move out west.
Oh no.
And they all sing. It's a musical. They all sing songs, and like they get women out there, and they basically line up the women for the men to pick from. Oh my God. It's horrifying.
Horrible.
I saw that movie like 3 times because against my will.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and by the way, you don't want to see Lee Marvin singing because Lee Marvin is like the all-time like male archetype.
Yeah,
just like this cool guy, and he was in the Dirty Dozen and shit. Yeah, and he's singing these songs about love on the frontier.
Oh no.
So, but that movie has a lot of female characters, none of them good. I don't know why I brought this up.
I think you needed to just kind of air that out.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I think you needed to just get that out.
Yeah. Well, and as a man, my feelings are clearly most important here, right? I mean,
clearly,
that's what we're talking about.
Obviously, yes. Oh.
Now I'm mortified.
Don't be embarrassed. Okay. We're all friends here.
Thank you.
I want to go back to Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Let's talk about him for a minute. First of all, so hot.
Yeah.
Second of all, great in this role. Third of all, fantastic mustache. But one thing that I didn't know about this movie before I did like a little bit of reading on it is just like how involved he was in directing the film. I didn't know the whole backstory of like how they had a director and then they had to fire him after a month and then they hired another director, and people are saying that Kurt Russell was kind of the real director behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true.
I do too. And Kurt Russell is very coy when he answers questions about this.
Yeah. I watched this really good GQ interview with him.
Is that the Iconic Roles one?
Yeah.
I love those.
Love that.
I watched all those Iconic Roles that GQ does.
Nice. That's awesome.
I love those.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very cagey about the way he answers. But the room,
you can tell what he's
saying,
you know?
Yeah, and if you read the IMDb trivia, Val Kilmer has a quote about it too. He's like, we would go up and Kurt, after we'd shoot all day, Kurt would go up and make the shot lists for the next day.
Yeah.
And so that guy who directed George P. Cosmatos came to the project. This is the rumor that I heard because Stallone was working on Rambo.
Right.
And he's like, if you need a guy to sort of like just be the director, he can like, compose a shot and he can get everyone where they need to be. But if you want it to be your vision, this is your guy.
Yeah.
I think Cosmatos would probably take issue with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen him interviewed ever.
Yeah.
But Kurt Russell asked for advice from Stallone, and Stallone gave him that advice and said, this is the guy you need to do. And that's why Tombstone turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and so the other rumor is that Kurt Russell, like, cut down his own role as Wyatt Earp, too.
Yeah.
So,
which
I think is cool.
I think that's cool, too.
Because here's the other thing. Did you do any reading about the other Wyatt Earp movie that came out right around the same time?
Oh, the Kevin Costner one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't really know much about it. I know that it existed around the same time.
I've tried to watch it.
Yeah.
It is a dull slog, dude.
Really? Because it's a mini-series, right?
And no, it's. I think it's one movie.
Oh, wow.
It came out like within 6 months of Tombstone.
Wow.
Did not do as well. Dennis Quaid plays Doc Holliday.
Oh.
And I'm told he does a decent job, but I mean, come on, like after Val Kilmer does this role, anyone doing this role, like it's just it's not going to fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, Kurt Russell really did it all in this movie.
I agree.
He's a guy too, where when he shows up, you go, "This is probably going to be okay."
100%.
You go, "This is going to be all right."
Overboard is entertaining. It's like such a fucked up premise of a movie, but you watch it with Kurt Russell and you're like, I'm on board. Overboard, I'm on board. You know what I'm saying?
You should be jailed for that one.
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, that's awesome. There's a movie that's totally underrated that I actually saw in theaters. It's a Kurt Russell movie. It's called Breakdown.
Okay.
And it's a nasty little like thriller suspense action movie.
Okay.
And it's like got this just really gritty, mean sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
But Kurt Russell does so much acting like with his eyes in it.
Yeah.
And so you can tell like everything that's going on beneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And the basic premise is these crazy rednecks sabotage his car as he and his wife are driving across country.
Okay.
They're from Massachusetts. They're going to, I think, San Diego. And in the middle of like the Utah desert, the car breaks down. She accepts a ride with a trucker. He says she'll take her to a payphone to, call a tow truck and all that.
Uh-oh.
And then kidnaps her. And Kurt Russell has to work to get her back.
Oh my God.
It's like an all-time nightmare scenario.
Oh my God, of course.
And so like I kind of am uncomfortable watching it just because that whole idea is
totally.
But the movie itself is so well executed. It's really taut. It's thrilling. JT Walsh is in it. He's an all-time kind of that guy.
Yeah.
Just anytime JT Walsh shows up, you're like, oh man, okay, this character's gonna kick ass.
Totally.
So like him as Markinson in A Few Good Men, he's awesome in that. But Breakdown, Kurt Russell is just really kind of doing it all. So yeah, he's awesome in Miracle as Coach Herb Brooks.
Oh my God, absolutely! I love that movie.
I do too. That one makes me feel good.
That's a great dad movie.
Yeah, I showed it to my kids.
That's awesome. My dad showed it to me.
And the tradition goes on.
You know what Val Kilmer does that we really need to bring back?
What's that?
He winks really well. He's good at winking. People don't do that enough. People are not winking enough.
No, you're right. But like right at the OK Corral gunfight, he's like,
yeah. Oh my God.
And it's hot. And Thomas Hayden Church, like gets really, really mad at it because I think he's lightly turned on. I
think that he's just like sexually frustrated a little bit. He's like, dang it, you've done it again.
Yeah. And then he ends up dead.
And then he dies.
Yeah. And they carry him through. And like, it's so weird with that shot of the corpses.
Oh my God.
They're all wearing all that makeup, like all the rouge.
Yeah. Well, that was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Why did they show that?
You know what? I'm glad they did. Again, this is what happens when you fuck with guns.
Absolutely. Because it did make me feel like, whoa, that is creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're walking through the town and they're holding up a protest sign.
Yeah.
And I'm going like murdered on the streets of Tombstone.
Yeah.
And I'm going, good God, man. Like we are not that far away from this entire energy. Like you can change the players, but we still got people marching in the street protesting deaths from the hands of law enforcement.
Yeah.
Like the Cowboys in this case are dead wrong.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
They're clearly villains, but the entire construction of people marching in the street to protest their dead friend who was killed by law enforcement, you go, holy shit. Like
holy shit.
That has been the entire history of this country.
Period.
So in terms of like aging, that when I thought about that, through the lens of this podcast, the central question of this show, I thought this movie's aged really interestingly in that particular way.
Yeah, the element of law enforcement and how the American West is built around this like, tension of lawlessness versus the strong arm of the law attempts, like it's really interesting to be put in this position of like we're seeing the protagonists as kind of these men who are on the side of the law, but they're also kind of not.
They're sort of unwilling,
yeah,
like avatars for that because like it's like they're called into service,
right?
They're compelled into service.
Exactly. They're kind of the reluctant heroes.
Yeah.
But then even when the mayor's like, "I'm gonna have to arrest you," he's like, "No." He's like, I don't think you're going to arrest me today or whatever.
No, I don't think I'm going to allow you to arrest us.
I don't think I'm going to allow you to arrest us today. So it's like they're not just like living within the bounds of the law.
Yeah.
I mean, as if law enforcement lives within the bounds of the law too. Or, you know what I mean? But it's just like, yeah, there is this really interesting central tension between like, I don't know.
No, I agree with you 100% because one of the main scenes in the movie is when they decide they're going to go after all the cowboys and end the cowboy gang.
Yeah.
And he says, "You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me," which is an awesome scene, right?
Awesome.
But then I think about the actual sort of repercussions of vigilante justice.
Yeah.
Which, man, that comes at a cost. Like,
yeah.
And it's the people who fancy themselves vigilantes aren't always right either.
Exactly.
And so, you see something like this, you go, well, obviously they were right. So if you have that sort of impulse about you, you go, I must be right too. And so I think there's danger in that a little bit.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Not to turn into fucking Tipper Gore here.
I mean, yeah,
right.
But still.
But I think if you internalize that kind of energy too much,
yeah,
you're going to derange yourself.
100%.
So
I just I don't think anyone should be trusted to know if they're on the right side of history.
Yeah.
I
mean, unless what you're doing is being used to oppress other people, then you can pretty safely say you're on the wrong side.
Wrong side of history. Yeah, totally. Yeah, God. It's tough. It's tough because I'm like, this isn't propaganda because this is a Western. But I do get anytime that they're like, yeah, some sheriff's in town. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
This is related to this movie, but
okay.
it was just something that kind of came up, and it's a benign question, but have you ever ridden a horse?
I have, yeah.
Like a lot?
No.
Okay.
Like a few times.
Okay, like how many times?
Like 3 times that I can remember.
Okay. Because I've done it maybe 6 to 10 times in my life.
Okay.
Like when I was a kid, we went up to this dude ranch a couple of times. Mm-hmm. So I've done like long trail rides. Like,
oh, that's cool.
You ride up a mountain and then they like make griddled pancakes for you and stuff. Right. Real like old West cowboy shit.
Love that.
And I'm like 9 years old.
Yeah.
And to this day, the best pancakes I've ever eaten.
I am sure.
Just because you're in this secluded little mountain.
That sounds so cool.
But yeah, riding a horse is, it's kind of fun. And so when you watch this movie, and there's a lot of really cool riding.
Yeah.
Like when they're chasing down the cowboys and Wyatt like hides behind like the head of his horse and then like puts the gun
that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, in terms of, no, that's going to be the wrong term. I was going to say horse porn.
Oh my God.
But like lifestyle porn, like that kind of thing.
I mean, I know what you mean.
But, oh my God, wrong terminology.
Yeah.
But
so not that.
But in terms of watching a lifestyle and going, oh man, like I should get out there. We live in Colorado.
I should go ride a horse.
I should find a place where I could do a trail ride occasionally.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
And take my kids to go do a trail ride. Like, just have them experience what it's like to be on a horse. They did the pony ride at the stock show, but that's just a bunch of sad-ass old ponies walking in a circle.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But yeah, so what was your experience like riding a horse?
Okay, so I rode a horse at a summer camp and then also at like a family reunion.
All right.
It was just kind of like a trail ride kind of thing.
Like what? Like an hour?
Yeah, like an hour. Oh, I also rode a horse once on a beach in California.
That sounds hot.
So hot. I was in like 7th grade.
Oh, less hot now.
Yeah, less hot now. But it was just like, it's cool, but I think horses are so scary. I respect them, and because they could just like kill you so easy.
Yeah, they're gigantic.
Giant creatures.
They are gigantic.
Like, all love and respect to all the horse girls and all the horses out there. But I would say, my first reaction to like horseback riding is fear.
I think that's fair. We did, so the trail rides we did, some of them were really long. We were on horses for like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Oh.
And you get off of that and I have never had my legs be more sore.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Because you're riding like this and you kind of got to squeeze a little bit.
Yeah.
And my God, when you get off, like you feel like your legs are not going to work at all.
Totally. Yeah, and these guys are riding horses like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch, though.
It is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, is there anything else that we need to discuss? I mean, God, this...
No, we've covered this in pretty good depth, I think.
I think we have two. I mean, do you think that it holds up? Do you think it ages well?
I do. I think it. Okay, so my very first note, the very first thing you hear in this movie is this booming masculine voice come in and be like, 1879, the Civil War is over. The voiceover tells you exactly what this movie's going to be.
Yeah.
Right up front.
Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciate. If you misunderstand Tombstone after 1 minute in, you're a moron. What, like, you know what you're getting here. You're going to get some gunfighting. You're going to get some horses. You're going to get a portrayal of the Old West. What you're not expecting is a love story between Doc and Wyatt.
Yeah.
And so to that end, I think you go in with certain expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're open to it, because I don't think everyone's going to pick up on that subtext. Just because they're not, especially like the target audience for a movie like this.
Yeah.
They don't think of themselves as having male relationships that are like love stories.
Yeah.
And I don't want to assign motive to anyone. I don't know how people relate to things, but I think that is a surprising benefit.
Yeah.
Especially if you're open to it. So to me, you show up for fun Western action.
Mm-hmm.
What you get is a very nice portrait of male affection.
I totally agree. Like, you get exactly what you paid for with this movie. And then some.
And also, you get this bonus stuff, which is so cool. And then what keeps me coming back is, I mean, I could listen to Doc Holliday deliver lines all day.
God, yeah.
Like, he gets delivered last rites and he goes, we were just exploring the complexities of the Roman Church, or whatever he says.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
I know I've said that like 10 times, but it's true.
You know what? You can't say it enough when it comes to Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday in this movie.
So true. And Val Kilmer really doing anything, in my opinion.
Oh, no, 100%.
I haven't seen anything that Val Kilmer was in that I was like, I don't know, I would have cast someone else. you know?
So, like, I got a fresh cut today.
Very... And we all noticed that.
Thank you. But the reason, like, one of the reasons I wear my hair up is actually Val Kilmer in Top Gun.
That's so cool.
Because
he inspired you.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So that movie comes out and he's cool. He's Iceman.
He's Iceman.
And so I see him and I have stick straight hair. It's blonde. And I remember watching that movie and going, I think that's attainable for me. I think that's an attainable look.
That is so cool. Because he is like, in that movie, he is sort of an attainable hot, you know?
Yeah,
like,
in a way.
He's sort of the, just a little bit outside of reality hot, but not like so unattainable.
He's not like Slider when, like, during the volleyball scene when Slider like hits that pose. And you go, my God.
Okay, that's, you say, we're not in reality anymore. But Val Kilmer in that
And by the way, I am mad at that.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Of course. Anyway, so you were like, I could achieve that. And that was how your hair story was born.
Well, yeah. And so that's because I have like a round face too. So if I wear emo bangs, I look like a fucking Charlie Brown character because my face is like really round. Yeah. So like I need some height to lengthen this out.
Yeah, of course.
And so it was Val Kilmer as Iceman. And then later it was Dickie Barrett from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Who I saw when I saw them play on SNL, like Chris Farley was hosting, I think, couple of weeks before he died.
Whoa.
But the Boss Tones were the musical guest. I see Dickie up there in his sunglasses, in his like spikes, his black spikes, and he's wearing a dope suit. And I go, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yep.
So you're going to love this story. I took a Polaroid camera.
Yeah.
I had that episode of SNL recorded on VHS.
I love where this is going.
I paused it, took Polaroid photos of my TV.
Awesome.
And took it to Supercuts.
You said, give me this.
I go, can you please make my hair look like this?
Wow.
And the guy who I gave it to did not do a good job.
And that's not your fault.
No.
I imagine that you really captured what you wanted to capture,
With the technology that was available at the time.
Of course, you did what you could.
Yeah, I did. But it took about 10 haircuts for me to get the vocabulary right to ask for what I wanted.
Nice.
And then from there, it's been some variation of that, more or less, ever since.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, that was 30 years ago?
Almost 40 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, and I mean, Top Gun's one of those movies that's on all the time, just like Tombstone.
I just feel like even though it is sort of just like a classic blockbuster action movie, I got more than what I bargained for.
Sure.
And I am grateful for that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I was able to be the one to introduce you to this movie.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You know what, dude? As a dad, you gotta pay forward the good dad energy when you can.
Gotta pay it forward. And you have, and I appreciate that. Jon, what a blast this was.
Yeah.
This was so fun. What would you like to leave the listeners with?
So, if you want to check out, as I always say on your show, if you enjoy my particular brand of horse shit, you can find me at Off the Clock with Jon Eks. That's otcjon.com. And the social handles, I think, are all now OTC Jon. I think I switched them all.
Cool.
I was in Facebook jail trying to change the name.
Oh, no.
And that might still be JOAT Pod. But I'd also like to throw a plug for Sorry Sweetheart, which is one of the best bands in Denver. They did my theme song. They are so good. They are ska, punk, metal, and you've heard my theme song. It's unhinged.
It's so fun.
Yeah. It's like a punch in the face in a good way.
In a really good way. In a way that also has some...
Yeah, with the trombone.
We love that.
100%.
Yeah.
So, no, I just like to say, getting to sit down and do this with you, I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
Oh my gosh. Same, dude.
And like all day, I've been thinking about this and just been ready for it. And so,
oh my gosh.
Thank you for doing what you do and letting me be a part of your little world.
Oh my God. Of course. Thank you for being a part of our little world. This is the best.
Yeah.
Truly the best. So listeners, definitely be sure to check out Jon's podcast. You can hear me talking more about just a whole bunch of silly stuff, but also some serious stuff on our episode that we did together, but a lot of other really cool guests. And, just be good to each other.
Yeah, anytime you have me on, I'm your Huckleberry.
Get out of here. Pew, 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 pew.
2 guns, 1 for each of you.
All right, get out of here.
All right, bye-bye.